Jessica Corry is a Republican activist and mother of 2 young girls. She is also a marijuana advocate who says Republicans should get behind the movement. She joins us now live from Denver. Jessica, why should the GOP get behind this?
This is really about more than just pot. It's about endorsing a future for this country where we don't rely on the government to enforce our moral behavior. If people want to smoke pot and sit on their couch, I don't have a problem with it as long as it's not hurting somebody else. And as we just heard, the national debt is a greater threat to our country than Afghanistan. And when every American born today is issued a bill for $45,000 as their share, there should be no line item left off the table in terms of the budget savings that we so desperately need to ensure our fiscal and international stability.
Well, Jessica, you mentioned Afghanistan. I read an interesting article a couple of days ago that said, you know, they're known for their opium production there, but now that cannabis has become a huge cash crop for them as well, that terror groups there have brought in $94 million in the last year with that product. It's becoming a top drug export for them. Do we want to take a chance that in any way we're endorsing or funding terror activity?
I think what we're doing is living in a real world. If we look at California, which will see a ballot initiative this November asking voters if they support outright legalization, we're talking about revenues of $1.4 billion a year to California's economy. So if we take the power out of the hands of the black market, out of terrorists' hands in Afghanistan, we're doing the right thing. We're acknowledging that there is consumer demand in the United States for this product. We're allowing adults to consume that product. And we're also acknowledging that the drug war, this 7-decade prohibition experiment, has failed. 1 out of every 2 high school seniors in America admits to having smoked pot within the last year. Am I endorsing pot? By no means. But what I'm saying is, let's try a new approach. Let's take power out of the hands of international terrorists, and let's make some money while we're doing it.
Well, Jessica, you mentioned that so many young people admit that they're smoking pot. I find it very interesting that Columbia University issued its own findings saying that of those kids who do smoke pot, 85% of them say that they are much more willing to try things like cocaine. I mean, where do we draw the line? I mean, there has to be some moral high ground somewhere in here.
Well, the question is not whether we should endorse cocaine or endorse marijuana or mushrooms or alcohol or anything else. It's about effective public policy. And we know this, that when it comes to preventing children from using drugs, parents truly are the anti-drug. And so these studies may show correlations, they may not. I think it's very hard to demonstrate correlation between marijuana and any other sort of more serious drug. But the fact of the matter is, the policies that we have in place now aren't working. We have nearly 1 million Americans a year arrested for marijuana-related offenses. That is a failed policy. We have crumbling schools, highways, and roads. And again, we are giving each American, the moment they're born, a $45,000 bill for their share of the national debt. I'm very concerned about my children's economic future, and when it comes to whether or not they will smoke pot or use other drugs, I will be the most effective voice in preventing them from doing so. The government will have no impact, and that is what marijuana prohibition has proven.
All right, Jessica, we know you're an involved parent. I wish all others were as to the level that you are. Interesting debate, and we'll watch and see what the California voters decide in November. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. These are exciting times.